So I have this saw set up in the garage. I'm not going to lie, I've had some issues with it being a little out of square, so I'm going to try to work on that this afternoon. But one thing, I've had a lot of people ask about the Dust Deputy setup, so I'm going to kind of go over my setup with this. So first and foremost, turning the vacuum on, before we get into the Dust Deputy, turning the vacuum on with your saw. I think some of you guys saw this. I have this little foot pedal from the Christmas tree section at Home Depot. Works really good. That's a very cheap alternative. Works really well, especially with the battery saw, as far as cutting this on with that. That works really well. You can also get the IVAC switch. I have this on here so I can use it if I need to, or I don't have to. Basically, if you order the kit through Oneida Air Systems, this is the Dust Deputy. You get the funnel, the bucket. I've rigged up my own little lid for this one. I have a secondary one, so I've kind of hodgepodged this one together. The lid that comes with this kit is just a rubber pull-off top, kind of like a drywall bucket, a mud bucket. This I got at Home Depot because I like it. It screws on here. I can unscrew it. So basically this funnel bolts to the lid, which I've got it kind of sealed up on the bottom to keep it as airtight as possible. But just goes on the lid. Again, this lid is a little more heavy duty. I like it for that reason. Goes on the bucket. As far as the amount of dust it collects, so we've been using this one for about a week with all of our trim that we've been doing. It's about half full. I'm going to go ahead and dump this now, clean it up, and start it new so I can put it back together and show you guys how it all assembles. Because I'm a little OCD, I like to take this bad boy, clean out the bucket, the Dust Deputy funnel itself, before using it again. I know it's a little weird, but... Cleaned up, screwed this back on top. Got a good bucket, funnel, tighten it down, and it's ready to get hooked up to the vacuum. So first thing you're going to want to do is get a vacuum. I've seen several really good setups with this. Some people have a vacuum separate, and then this they build a wood assembly for the bucket to ride. This, I got an extra bucket, drilled this out so it has a little bit more flexibility, and actually screwed that to the vacuum. And you need this extra bucket to create the structural integrity for this secondary bucket, the one that actually gets the dust dumped into it, because if you don't, this will actually crush under the suction that the vacuum creates. And anyway, I have my bucket, my first one, bolted to it. So then this drops in, and what's great about this is then it creates a swivel, and this can swivel one bucket inside the other to go in any direction that you need, or even a 360. Then you take this hose that comes with the vacuum. It can be a stock hose. This actually came off of a different vacuum than I have, and I like it because it's a little flexible but super durable at the same time. The Dust Deputy comes with a couple of these 90s. I have it hooked to it and then duct tape just to keep it secure so it doesn't slide out over time. Anyway, this goes into the top and hooks down on it. So the suction from the vacuum comes up and creates the vortex in the cone, which then, so then you get another hose. This can be a Festool hose. This is actually a rigid auto detail hose because it's a little smaller, with a couple of adapters from Home Depot. Mix and match whatever you can do to fit. So then after you have this hooked in, you can run this to a sander, a miter saw, a track saw, whatever you want, a table saw, whatever you want to do to pull some of this dust into the Dust Deputy. And then so what this does is as the dust comes in, the vortex that's created will spin and drop all the heavier stuff, dust, down into the bucket and actually pull it down into the bucket. That's what keeps the majority of it. Honestly, about every 6 months, I will actually take this vac apart and blow out the little bit of dust that does collect in it. I used a filter before. I've actually switched to a vacuum bag, so in theory, I should just be able to take that bag and toss it after about 6 months. I actually have two of these setups. I have one that's on this vac, and I have another on a different vac that I use. This one is primarily for the miter saw. The other one I use a lot for a table saw, just so I can have two running at one time. Anyway, so I hope that helps answer some questions on the Dust Deputy. It's a fairly inexpensive investment if you want to do it for a cleaner job site and doing any kind of installs. I've gotten so used to it now that I won't cut without it. I hate getting the dust everywhere.